Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Em and this is going to be part 1 of my full moon readathon reading vlog. So I'm gonna be honest, I recorded this already, this intro already, and my sound was not good. So here we are to do it again. And in my first introduction, I talked a little bit about how I am in a reading slump. Still, kind of. And so I didn't want to commit to any of the prompts. Oh, by the way, Full Moon Readathon is a readathon that is created and hosted by emjaereads. I will link her down below. And it's my first time participating and I'm really excited about it. And there are all these prompts. There's 4 prompts and then there's 2 book prompts with each category and then a life prompt. So in my original intro, I talked about how because I am in a reading slump, I didn't want to fully commit a book to each prompt. There were 2 that I was absolutely going to commit to, and then everything else was kind of up to interpretation or mood reading, and I took you through all the possibilities. And it was like a 10-minute clip. So you are spared that. I do have a lot of options. I've already read some things because we are a few days into the readathon now. So I don't want to spoil what's to come. So I won't talk about those. But you can kind of see all the choices, all the prompts that are here. And without giving anything away, the only book that I am 100% committed to is the Read a 400-page plus book. And I'm going to be reading Metal from Heaven by August Clark for that. This is a book club book for me for this month, for the SFF book club that I'm a part of. What is with all the noise today? Oh my gosh, it's so chaotic. I swear everything was quiet when I sat down to record. And I do have the window open, but you know, it's just how it is. Anyways, I'm gonna read this for sure. Probably not until part 2 because I have discovered when I do week-long readathons, my vlogging is more consistent and better when I do it in 2 parts. That is the plan. Hopefully to get through this. I also have a couple of arcs I would like to maybe read if they fit a prompt and I'm in the mood for them. I have C.G. Drew's next book, Hazelthorn, which comes out I think in October. I gave Don't Let the Forest In 5 stars earlier this year, so I'm really excited for their next one. And then I also have another YA, I think horror, called The Resurrectionist by Kathleen S. Allen. I am obsessed with this cover. Like this neon green on cover trend that we're still kind of in, I'm obsessed with. I just think it's so fun and it's so eye-catching on the cover. So I might read this. I also have an arc for Eric Larocca's next book called Burnt Sparrow, which comes out in September. I haven't read him before. I don't know if he's going to be for me. I'm kind of nervous, but there are a couple prompts this could fit into. I also very impulsively got Girl in the Creek by Wendy N. Wagner from the library the other day. I could read this. And of course I have Chuck Tingle's newest book, Lucky Day. I absolutely love Chuck Tingle's horror. I'm so excited for this. And I love that it's not going to be too long. I think I also have this on audio, so I could read this. I have no idea what this one's about. I haven't looked at it at all. And I don't think I'm going to start now. I'm just going to go into it without any expectations. And then the night before Full Moon started, I checked out 4 horror books from the library. This is not a horror readathon. I feel like I should mention that dog that's barking in my neighborhood also really wants you to know that this is not a horror readathon. But I just think that when I am slumpy, horror sometimes is the way to go because it's a little bit more fast-paced. The tension really keeps me engaged. So I grabbed Your Shadow Half Remains. I'm going to go through these fast. Gorgeous Gruesome Faces, which both of these books I'm debating using for the ugly cover prompts because I don't like either of them. Mayfly, I also hate this cover. And then The Haunting of Velkwood. So it's just kind of like a pile of possibilities. We'll see where the mood takes me. Like I said, I'm re-recording this a couple of days into the readathon and it has been treating me pretty good so far. So yeah, welcome to the vlog. We're gonna rewind to Emily from a couple days ago and get you caught up to where I am now. day of full moon readathon. I'm so excited. I, as you saw, woke up very early this morning, but I did get to read all of volume 8 of Lore Olympus, and having completed that, my completionist heart now wants me to just complete all of these prompts. So that's the revised plan for today. All right, Lore Olympus volume 8. If you have not read any of this graphic novel series, this is a retelling of the Hades and Persephone myth, and it was originally a very, very popular webcomic, and now we're getting traditionally published installments. Volume 8 was the most recent, and I'm not going to give you too much because it's an ongoing story, so like it wouldn't really make any sense. But my hierarchy of Lore Olympus volumes is basically how much on-page time do we get with Hades and Persephone and without anybody bugging them, and how much are we focused on other people. So this one was a 4 for me because the first half-ish was a lot of Hades and Persephone together, and that is always my favorite. I love their dynamic. I love their relationship. I love their conversations with each other. And then the rest of the last half was plot stuff, which I'm least interested in as far as this series is concerned. But I did like the storytelling. I liked where the story went. I'm very excited for volume 9, which is going to come out in November. And I just want all good things for Hades and Persephone. I love them so much. My one complaint is that I do think there are too many gods, and sometimes it is hard to keep track of who is who, especially when somebody hasn't shown up for several volumes. So I do sometimes get them confused, and I feel like it could be better communicated early on, reminding you who the heck this is and why they matter and why they're important, because I definitely forget. So that's the only reason it's not a 5, but I do desperately love this story, and I'm so glad I finally read it. And then I got to talk to my kids about it, which was great because they have been very disappointed in me that I haven't read it faster. Now we're gonna finish out this board. So the life prompt is to treat yourself. So I have a break from work, so I'm at my favorite coffee shop, and I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna get a treat. And while I'm having my treat, I am going to start Killer on the Road to fulfill the creepy book prompt. All I know about this one is that it's 5 friends versus a serial killer. So I'm hoping I like it. I hope it's a good time. And I have the audiobook downloaded already. So I'm going to get out of my hot car, go get a coffee and a treat, sit outside and do some reading. So let's go.
And I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. Life lessons come 1 in a dozen. The other 11 give something from nothing. I sit here looking for an answer. Maybe the biggest question was in the last chapter. You gave me the soul I have today. Without you.
Okay, it's a little bit windy, so hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm 40-something% of the way through Killer on the Road. Oh my goodness. So don't be eating when you start this book, because chapter 0 is disgusting. We have a cannibal serial killer situation, and the first chapter, chapter 0, is this driver picks up this hitchhiker, and they're kind of trading urban legends about hitchhikers and myths and stuff, and they start talking about this hitchhiker called, it's not Big Mouth, but it is something similar. What is it? It's like a fish name. Bucket Mouth. So they're talking about this bucket mouth killer who will cut off a body part of the hitchhiker or the person that picks him up, like the bucket mouth of the hitchhiker. And once he's in your car, he'll cut off a piece of your body and make you watch him eat it. And then that guy, like, proceeds to do just that to the hitchhiker in his car. It's so gross, and I was not expecting it right out of the gate, so just FYI. And then we switch, and we're following Harper, who is 17, and she has just had a knockdown, drag-out fight with her mom and is running away from home. And she's intending to hitchhike, and while she's hitchhiking, her two best friends pull up, and she gets in the car with them. They also have her ex-boyfriend Dylan in the car, and then they find her younger sister Meg, who has tried to follow her as she's running away. And then it's just balls to the wall from there. It is so high octane, fast-paced, brutal, gruesome, gross from the get-go. I was talking to my husband about it because I typically think of Stephen Graham Jones books as being pretty slow burn. It takes a while for everything to get going, but he has a handful of books, as far as I know, that are super fast-paced, and you are just going from the jump. The second My Heart is a Chainsaw book, Don't Fear the Reaper, is book 3. Whatever book 2 is, right? No, Don't Fear the Reaper, that's book 2. That book is like that, and also this book is like that. I'm gonna read outside for maybe like 10 more minutes, and then I gotta go pick up a kid from dance class. But I am liking it. I just was caught off guard by it. Okay, I just got home, but I have book mail. I think I know what it is, but I'm not 100% certain, so let's open it and find out what it is together. Oh, it is. Okay, so they sent me, it's an unbound manuscript. That's when I got the email from the rep at Tor asking if I was interested. She used she didn't use ARC, she used like ABM, and I was like, well, I don't know what that is. Like, I want this book, but I don't know what that is. Now I know. It's for Advanced Bound Manuscript. Anyways, she sent me Cabaret in Flames. This is Hatch Poyo's next book that comes out next year. They wrote But Not Too Bold, which came out earlier this year, which was like a monster romance, kind of, sort of, and I enjoyed it, and I'm definitely interested in more from her. This says interview with the vampire meets certain dark things in an alternate Brazil where brutal flesh-hungering ghouls stalk the night streets and manipulate the government from their glittering cabaret. I'm really excited for this, and we'll see if when does this come out? How soon is too soon? It comes out in March. Would it be unhinged to read it now? I'll have to think about it. I'm pretty excited. All right, now I have to go, not be sweaty anymore and think about making dinner. Good morning! Happy day 2 of Full Moon Readathon. I finished Killer on the Road this morning. I'm waffling between a 4 and a 3.75. I do love a fast-paced horror. It's turns me into an adrenaline junkie, and I cannot get enough of it. However, there was a villain monologue in here that I was so bored during. It was too much explaining. It was too much info dumping in a way that I did not enjoy. So there's that. I also found the ending incredibly not disappointing, but I needed more catharsis in the ending, and I didn't get it. There was a twist, and while I did not see it coming, I also wasn't surprised by it. I do like a thing that happened right at the end, but I needed a few more things answered at the end of this book than what I got. So maybe it's more like a 3.75 than a 4. And I, oddly enough, if you watched my summer ween vlog, I think I liked The Babysitter Lives better. So I still think this is my second favorite Stephen Graham Jones after My Heart is a Chainsaw, and this I think would probably come after the whole Indian Lake trilogy and before Buffalo Hunter, Only Good Indian, that revenge horror that Stephen Graham Jones does. I'm really glad I read it, And I will never be sad that I read a Stephen Graham Jones, even if I don't like it. I'm never sad that I read it. So that means I've completed a whole prompt for, is it spider? Yeah, I think it's spider. So that's exciting. And now we're going to move on to another one. I'm thinking I'm going to do the zombie next because I'm going to be taking my twins to art class, and they're having art class at this coffee shop in our town. And my youngest, I think my youngest and I are going to bring some games, and we're going to go like sit outside, and I'm going to force them to play games with me. Do something like kind of out of our normal routine. It's really hard to get my youngest to break their routine because they're very routine oriented, like their mom. But I also think it's good for us to mix up our routine. So I think I'm going to try and get the zombie one going today, starting with the games. And then also the book I'm going to pick for the slow pace prompt is one that I started a couple nights ago, and it's The Hounding. I think the author's name is Zenobi Purvis, but I will have to listen to the audiobook and see how it's pronounced in there. And this is like weird girl litfic about 5 sisters in this village. I don't actually know where the village is supposed to be. It's Little Nettlebed. I guess it's England. And it's in 18th century England, so it's a little bit historical. But the villagers are convinced that these 5 sisters are turning into dogs. But you don't ever, as far as I know, you don't ever get the sisters' perspective. Each chapter is from a different villager's perspective. So I'm only on chapter 3. And the first chapter was from like this guy who ferries people across the river. And it's his interaction with the sisters on his boat. And then chapter 2 was from the wife of the guy that owns the pub and her insight into the sisters. So I'm going to continue on with this one today and make this my main focus. And I'm hoping I like it, but I'm not a litfic girly, so we'll see how this goes. And then I will have to pick a book that's been on my TBR for a year. I just realized this morning that my intro, the audio is not good, so I'm going to have to re-record my audio. So I think I only talked about what I might pick for that prompt in my intro. So basically you haven't heard me say anything, so I can do whatever I want with this prompt. And what I'm eyeballing is I have... Okay, let me shut my door. My children decided it's spooky season and that the Nightmare Before Christmas sing-alongs have to start immediately. Anyways, what I am contemplating doing is I have all my mass market paperback, right? Yeah, romances on my little book cart I have in my room, and I have a few on there I have not read yet, and they've been sitting there for years because my most read genre used to be romance, and then I went through maybe like 3 years, at least 2 years, where I couldn't read romance at all, which was heartbreaking. And I'm just now slowly starting to get back into it. And while I've been able to read some contemporary romance and like historical fantasy romance and romantasy and fantasy romance, I haven't been able to fully get back into historical romance. So I'm thinking about picking up one of those because I have a few Sarah MacLanes that I could read. I also, is that the only unread I have on there? Oh, I have an Amanda Quick, which is like mystery romance. But anyways, I think I might pull from that because it'd be nice to get one of those read. But for now, I'm going to go get my children ready to leave the house, and I will, of course, take you along to the coffee shop, though we'll see how much I manage to record with my youngest as my buddy for the morning. It's day 3 of Full Moon Readathon, and I have some reading updates. I have not finished anything yet, but I am halfway through the Hounding, and this, I am having such a sense of unease and dread while I am reading this book. I misspoke earlier. We're not switching perspectives every single chapter. We're really settling around these 5 villagers. We're following Pete, who is the ferryman. There's this river that goes by this village, and a lot of the people live on one side, and but village proper is on the other. And so he ferries people back and forth across. He is a despicable human being, and being in his perspective makes me feel yucky every single time. So we have his perspective. We have the grandfather of these 5 girls. We get his perspective, and he is the one raising them because their parents have both passed away, and then their grandmother just recently, prior to the start of the book, has passed away. And then we get Temperance, who is the wife of the publican. That was the word I was looking for earlier. Then we get a young man who has been hired on for the season at the girls' house to help the grandfather with haying the field. And then we get another young man in the village as well. And I don't quite know what his connection is to the girls. And they all have varying opinions about these 5 sisters. And I am just nervous for these girls. There is a lot of feminine rage in this book, even though we only have one woman whose perspective we get. And it's just I feel like this is going to be a story about what happens when women step out of what society deems their place to be. And I'm really nervous for these 5 girls. I am hoping to finish it today because it is only just over 200 pages and I'm already on page 110. So maybe, but I'm also not going to rush it. And then I am alternating, since this one is making me feel kind of queasy when I read it, I am alternating with A Rogue by Any Other Name by Sarah MacLean, which is the little mass market paperback that I decided to pick up off of my shelf. I've had this series on my shelves for a number of years. One of my dear friends gifted me the whole series, and I am 50 pages in. Keep having the feeling that I've read this book before, but I have no record that I have read it before, and I'm not entirely sure if I have, because there's some things that feel brand new that I haven't ever encountered before, and then there are other things where I'm like, ooh, this is tickling a part of my brain, it's tickling a memory, and I can't decide if it's because I've read this before and have forgotten, or if it's because it's just similar to aspects of other historical romance novels that I've read, and I don't know. But our 2 main characters in this are Penelope and Michael. Michael goes by Born, which is his lord name. And when Michael was 21, he gambled and lost all of his everything. He lost everything. He lost his land, he lost all of his money. The only things he didn't lose were the things that were entailed to his title, and he was humiliated, and he went underground and kind of left polite society, and he's a Marquise. It's pronounced weird, and I never remember what the pronunciation is. Anyways, he's that. And so after that humiliating loss, he went underground and he opened one of the most notorious gaming hells with a few friends. So the prologue, we get him losing all of his land and money and everything. And then we skip ahead a little bit to him, I think it's 10 years, and he owns this gaming hell with his friends, and he finds out that his land, or the land that his house is on, has been bundled up into this woman Penelope's dowry. And we find out that Born and Penelope grew up together until he went away to college or university, and then they lost touch, and Penelope is a spinster. She's been jilted a couple of times, and her father, both of her parents, are desperate for her to marry, and so that is why he has gotten a hold of Born's land and then saddled it on to Penelope's dowry. And so Born is now, of course, going to make Penelope marry him so he can have his land back. I swear I've read this before, but I'm not positive enough. I am, even at 50 pages in, there's things that, like I said, there's things that are familiar, and then there's things that are brand new information. So who knows? It's Sarah MacLean. I really like the writing. I always say, even though Sarah MacLean is not writing fantasy, her historical romance feels like a fantasy world, and it's got kind of that same escapist quality to it. So I'm alternating right now, which I think is a good choice because they're very different vibes and it's keeping my brain engaged. I do have this one on audio, so I might switch over to that because I do need to do chores and, you know, like all the boring things today. But I don't have an audiobook of this. I haven't read a mass market paperback in a minute, but they are so uncomfy to hold. And unfortunately, the ebook is not available unless I want to pay for it, and I do not. That's it. That's your update, and I'll come back and talk to you more later. Okay, it is Saturday. It is day 4, and I am here to give you a reading update and then to close out part 1 of Full Moon Readathon because my twins and I are gonna go spend the night at my mom's house, so I need to get this video finished up, edited, uploaded, and ready to go for tomorrow morning. But I did finish The Hounding yesterday, and I think I gave it either a 4 or a 3.75. I really liked the majority of this. I thought the tension was well done. I really liked the pacing. The multiple POVs without ever actually getting the sisters' POVs really worked for me. And just the commentary on the dangers of like groupthink and how, or group thought, and how society punishes women who don't conform. Like we have as humans have a long history of that behavior. I really not liked, but like the commentary on that was really cathartic for me to read. Unfortunately, there was like a thing on the last page that I did not like that colored the rest of the book in a way that I found less interesting than what had been discussed all the way up to that point. So like most of the book, it was a 4. Actually, for almost the entirety of the book, it was a 4. It was just those last couple of pages, the author did something that wasn't as satisfying of an ending for me if she had just left it alone. So it is a 3.75, but I did mostly really enjoy this, and I really liked her writing. This is her debut, so I will definitely be interested in what she writes in the future if she writes another book. I don't know how widely I would recommend this, just because I'm not, like I said, a weird girl litfic reader, so I don't really know where this goes in the like weird girl litfic hierarchy, but I did like it a lot. And then unfortunately I will not be able to give you a final review because I haven't quite finished A Rogue by Any Other Name. I'm so close. I have this much left, but it is reminding me of how much I love Sarah MacLean's writing, and I would say this is one of those books where not a ton is happening, but I am riveted to the page. This is friends, childhood friends to lovers, which isn't my favorite trope because I like seeing the main couple meet and fall in love. And with this one, obviously they already have affection for each other, but they haven't seen each other for a really long time. So they are getting to know each other as adults, but like growing up together has definitely colored all their interactions in a big way. Michael is being a giant asshat. He is so locked in on getting revenge on the person that ruined him that he has thrown everything else to the wayside. He doesn't care about friends, family, anything else about other than getting revenge, and his desire for getting revenge is really limiting him in so many ways, but he isn't able to see that yet. And then I really love Penelope. I love how strong she is. She's so smart. She's so principled and is really, I think, finding her footing for who she is and learning how to stand her ground in this book. And I love this dynamic where it's a woman that society sees as really kind of a pushover and not very interesting, but she has all these hidden depths. And of course, the only person who could see it is the hero that is falling in love with her. And I like watching her just find herself and pushing back, and then the hero's delight when she pushes back, even if he has to pretend that like he's not into it. However, I am getting really irritated with Michael at the way he's treating her right now, and I hope Penelope makes him crawl before she forgives him. And that's where I'm at. I think with my romance reading right now, I only want to read a romance if the author is going to make the hero crawl on all fours before the heroine forgives him. That's the vibe I want. That's what I'm in the mood for. And luckily, Sarah MacLean is really good about delivering on that. So I am sure she will rake Michael across the coals before the end of this book. But I do really love Sarah MacLean. I still sometimes feel like I have read this before, and I think it's the letters that are throwing me off, because Michael, when they were younger, he left for university and Penelope wrote him letters and he wrote back, and then him losing everything happened and he stopped returning her letters, and so she kept writing to him but just not sending them. And so we get the letters in this book, and I think I've read another book, and I can't remember if it's Sarah MacLean or if it's somebody else, where there's a similar setup where they were childhood acquaintances and they wrote letters to each other. I think I've read another historical romance, because nothing else about this is familiar except for those letters. I also really appreciate that there's a character in here. So in this series, I'm not going to spoil it. But in this series, there's 4 books, and each book is following a different person who co-owns this gambling hell with Michael. And there is a character who owns it, who is the main character of book 4. And there's a secret about that character. And I accidentally got that secret spoiled for myself. And it's interesting to read this knowing what the secret is. And I'm really enjoying how Sarah MacLean is laying the groundwork for that. And it makes me really excited to continue on with the series so that I can see how far in the series we get before she reveals the secret about that character. Anyways, I am really excited to finish this. I hope I finish it later on today, but for now I am going to close out this portion of this vlog. A part 2 will be out shortly, and so you can see what my final reading was what else I read in Full Moon Readathon. But I feel like Full Moon Readathon is off to such a great start already, and I feel like my reads have been really successful. I'm hoping that continues into the second part of this vlog and the second part of the readathon. If you want to leave an emoji to let me know that you made it to the end of the video. I guess let's do a dog emoji. Yes? Yeah, let's do a dog emoji. And like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one.